Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for a radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, it's tuning in to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. This is part of our News You Can Use segment here at WYAD, and today we're talking about treatment and HIV news, and we're excited about today's guest that's joining us. When we think about the way that HIV has definitely changed over the years and the way it's treated, people living with HIV can expect to live as long as the general population thanks to the discovery and development of effective treatments. Well, last month marked the 30th anniversary of CROI, which is a medical meeting that brings together scientists and doctors from around the world to show the latest advancements in HIV research and progress. And here to talk to us about the latest finding and news, we're excited to welcome Dr. Harmony Garges to our program. She is the Chief Medical Officer at ViiV Healthcare. She's going to talk to you guys not only about what she was able to take away from this year's event, but also where you can go for more information as well. Dr. Garges, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we've done a lot of talk on this broadcast about especially HIV/AIDS awareness, but also, of course, the advancements that have taken place. So I'm glad to be able to have you here to talk about this year's event. So how has living with HIV changed from decades ago to today?
Well, thankfully, there's been tremendous advances in the HIV field over the last 40 years. If you recall, when HIV was first discovered 40 years ago, we really didn't have effective therapies for it, and unfortunately, many people passed away from HIV and AIDS. We then did develop medicines, but these were complicated and had pretty significant side effects. And so we've continued to evolve HIV care to where we can now treat people with fairly simple regimens that are much better tolerated. So these advances in HIV therapy really mean that people today living with HIV should be expected to live long and full lives, although the one part that still remains a big challenge is in the face of stigma and discrimination. And unfortunately, many people living with HIV still face that stigma, and that can really impact them and impede the care that they should be receiving.
Which is why it's so important, as I mentioned, about this being the 30th anniversary of CROI, this medical meeting. What can you tell us, Dr. Garges, about the latest HIV news to come out of this conference?
So CROI is an amazing conference. It's the premier HIV conference we have every year. And at ViiV Healthcare, we were so proud to be part of that meeting, really working together with researchers and the community at large to advance HIV care. I'd like to share with you one study, positive findings from our study, where we looked at people living with HIV who were on a commonly prescribed once-a-day medication known as Biktarvy. And we compared this regimen to ViiV Healthcare's long-acting treatment regimen known as Cabenuva, which is an injectable given every 2 months. And three important takeaways from this study. First, the study showed that the long-acting regimen was just as effective as the oral daily pill. The safety profile was quite similar, with the exception of injection site reactions in those who received the long-acting therapy. But I believe most importantly what this study showed was that even for those people who were well-maintained on their oral daily pill, nearly half of them had a psychological burden associated with having to take that medicine every day. And for those who switched to the long-acting therapy, their treatment satisfaction went up, and 90% of them preferred the long-acting regimen over those oral daily pills. So this really speaks to the importance of treatment choices for people living with HIV so they can decide what therapies best meet their needs.
Dr. Garges, I want to go back to something you mentioned, and that was the stigma, because I do feel like, and again, I live here in Mississippi. Definitely, we would not be having conversations like this on the radio station, I don't think, 10 years ago as openly as we are today, because of people feeling more comfortable in talking about, for one thing, not only about HIV. I've had individuals sharing their own stories, but also, of course, what's been able to be of assistance to them. Is that something that you're hopeful about, that the stigma will continue to loosen as more people are aware of, not only, of course, how these treatments are helping those individuals live longer with HIV, but also how this is something that all of us can benefit from when it comes to making sure people know it's available to them?
Absolutely. So we're very invested in people living with HIV and making sure we're taking care of the whole person, which certainly involves treatment choices, but also involves initiatives where we can really try to educate the population so that we can tackle stigma and discrimination. And so much of what goes behind tackling stigma really is education about HIV, education about the fact that it is now something that people can live long, healthy lives with. So really encouraging people to get tested, to get linked to care, and to start on medications that work for them, and really educating the broader community around HIV and the fact that now with effective therapies, people living with HIV, as long as they're taking medications that are virally suppressed, they can't transmit HIV to their sexual partners. So, there's lots of efforts that we have invested around raising awareness, educating the broader community that we hope are going to have a real impact on stigma moving forward.
And seeing the information that came out of this year's annual meeting with CROI, what do you hope this data does, Dr. Garges, when it comes to the HIV community and knowing not only how advanced the treatments are becoming, but also the hope that's there for them and the help that's there for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this type of research and communication of these data are so important. So one, they're demonstrating that these newer therapies that are coming to the market are as effective as some of the therapies that already exist, and again, provide different treatment options for people so they can really tailor their medications based on their lifestyle and their preferences. I'm also quite hopeful that with continued advances in HIV care, people will really start focusing on quality of life. So understanding we now can suppress the virus, but let's look for ways to continue to improve people's quality of life so that we can continue to make HIV a smaller part of people's lives. And, again, we're going to always continue to innovate, so always look for newer options that continue to meet the diverse needs of people living with HIV.
Again, everyone, Dr. Harmony Garges has been our guest, the Chief Medical Officer at ViiV Healthcare, talking with us not only about the medical meeting, CROI, but also the latest HIV news and how you all can benefit from that. So where can our audience go, Dr. Garges, for more information?
Well, I would always encourage people to talk to their doctors if they're living with HIV about the different therapy options that are available and have a conversation about what might be a good option for them. And to learn more about this long-acting therapy, I would ask people to go to our website, cabenuvalaI.com, for more information.
All right, and we'll make sure that we link that up for our audience. Dr. Garges, thank you so much for the great work you're doing and for the time today. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you so much.
More than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Again, part of our News You Can Use segment here at WYAD. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Websing. As always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live, and let's go make today amazing. Take care.